Well, these stories come from my own experience in global learning at Procter Gamble and in my consultancy after I retired. So much of it's my experience, but it's also the stories from my network. And my network includes, of course, lots of L&D professionals. It includes employees, managers, and people in the C-suite. And many of these stories express a frustration with L&D. And as Crystal and I looked at how do we design for modern learning, we started realizing that we needed to start addressing some of these frustrations in the work that we were doing. Now, when we gave the workshop, participants in the workshop would confirm for us that the frustrations and the stories that we had been trying to address were still real and were active in their lives. What was really fascinating is that after the workshop, participants would come back to us with different stories, stories that weren't full of frustration, stories of success using the LCD model. And that is part of what really drove us to say, oh my gosh, if people are having this much success with this model, we have to share this more globally with the L&D industry. And that's part of why we wrote the book and why we're here today. Now, many of the chapters have two stories in it, just to give you an example of that kind of dichotomy that we are seeing. So the first one will always be the story of frustration that we think many of you will relate to. And oftentimes the second story is about what it looks like in a more positive light as the LCD model is rolled out in your organization. Hopefully you'll have that same experience as you roll out the model with your organization too.